Welcome to the Author Spotlight podcast by Morpheus Publishing, an exciting new podcast hosted by Justine Martin, CEO and founder of Morpheus Publishing. Justine is an accomplished author, publisher, writing coach, and illustrator. She will guide you through the captivating journey of bringing your words to the world, crafting stories that matter, tales that inspire, and books that make a difference. In each episode, Justine and Morpheus Publishing will spotlight a new author who has published an amazing book in genres such as personal development, self-help, children's picture books, and memoirs. Through the help of Morpheus Publishing, these authors have turned their dreams into reality, and now, you get to hear their stories. Join us on this journey as we explore the world of writing, publishing, and the incredible stories that come to life through the Author Spotlight podcast.
Welcome back, listeners, to Morpheus Publishing's Author Spotlight. Today in the studio, I've got with me Denise. How are you, Denise?
Hi, Justine. I'm good. How are you?
Denise is having a bit of a chuckle because I struggle to say Denise's last name, so I've just left that out. How do we pronounce it, Denise?
Mokadsi. Denise Mokadsi. Yeah.
There you go. So you're Denise to me. Congratulations, Denise, on publishing The Belief Shift. Can you tell us what inspired you to write this book at this stage of your life?
Thank you so much. So many things, really. Midlife is such a transition time for so many women. And it was probably really going through that and just looking at my life and just thinking about things was kind of the impetus to think about a book. I really wasn't thinking I would ever really write a book, and that I didn't really have a story, but talking to my friend and book coach, Andrew Jobling, he's like, of course you've got a story. Everybody's got a story. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, well, if I can sort of just put some things down, like my thoughts and how I'm feeling going through this transition and just the things that it actually brought up for me as well, then it might actually help someone else because, we're not in this alone. There's so many people that go through things and it just makes us feel better if we're on a similar journey. Well, everyone's journey is going to be different, but that there's some commonality between people's experience, at least how you're feeling with certain things. And I think because I work, with my clients as a health coach and personal trainer, I was hearing it a lot about the struggles of like this midlife, menopause, and just feeling.
Oh, that's a swear word, isn't it? Menopause.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we'll just say the M word. I don't know, but and there's so much stigma around the word too, and all the expectation, like all of that. So it was just really my experience of not only that, but a whole lot of other stuff, like how I even got to this point in my life, all the other things that have happened with my family. Well, it's definitely not a book about menopause, really. It's part of it, but it was always going to be something different. It just evolved. And as I was writing, I was just like, oh, there's so many underlying things here to our experience, people's experience. And I was just really digging deep into why is that? Like it's not an experience, like everyone can have a similar experience, but it's how we react to that experience or respond to that experience that makes our experience of it unique. And so while there are other books, no doubt, on personal development and, inner work, so it's not different from that regard, but it's my story and it's my experience of how I was going through things and my journey to get to this point and all of that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, all of the things that influence who you are and how you see yourself with your upbringing and your school and your friends and family and society's expectations of like who you should be, and how we just take all these things on. So it just stirred up so many things that I just thought, this could actually be a book because there are so many elements that we could talk through and just share conversation that might resonate with someone else that's, in a place that feels a little bit confused or stuck or overwhelmed as I was kind of feeling. I was like, what is this? Like, is this it? Like, what is this all about?
How long did it take you to write it, Denise?
How long?
Yeah.
From start to finish, it was about 18 months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is about average.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't consistently, it wasn't like a full-time writer. I was, after dinner, if I had an hour here and there, I'd quickly sort of write something down, or if something came to my mind or I just felt a little bit creative, I'll try to just do some work on it. But, yeah, it was definitely waves of more writing and then less writing. And so, it wasn't really, but from sort of end to now, yeah, it was about an 18-month journey, from talking to Andrew and then finding you and then, yeah, getting it this far. Yeah.
So the subtitle, Rewrite Your Story, Redesign Your Life. What does that mean to you personally?
Yeah. I guess it means that we're not stuck. I don't want to use that word, but we can always change our life.
Yeah.
We can just take control. Even when we think you're in a situation where you don't have much control about things, it's not actually true. We can't always control situations, but we can always control how we respond to it or how we want to react to it. So I think that kind of subline for me just means that at any point we can rewrite our story. And when we do that, we can create a new life, because it's just the actions and the behaviors that result from the stories or the beliefs or our thoughts that run these behaviors. So we can always change that. I think that's kind of what that means to me, that you don't have to go a certain way. You can change it. You can definitely change it.
Yeah. We are in control of our own lives.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about writing your own book? Join the Morpheus Publishing Writing Group program and turn your dream into reality. Contact Morpheus Publishing today and start your journey to becoming a published author.
In chapter 1, you describe a mirror moment. What was your own mirror moment that sparked this journey?
Yeah, I think I just got to a point where I was really starting to see what was going on. It was like this reflection of my life. Like I was kind of before that thinking, I don't know where this all fits. And it was just a moment of just being really still and just looking and becoming an observer and just going, oh, I can kind of see what's going on, and just understanding myself a little bit more just through the work of epigenetics and all the things that I had been doing previously. There was just this moment of like, I can actually see it. Like it was reflecting, my life was reflecting back to me what I needed to see and where I was in my perception and perspective of things. Like it was always there, but I didn't see it that way until, I don't know. It was just like this awareness. It's like, oh, that's just because I'm thinking this way or I'm believing this thing. But if I change the way I'm thinking because I change that I no longer want to believe that story or that belief, then things started to look different. And I was like, wow, it's amazing. The same thing with a different perspective felt completely different. And I was like, oh, that feels so much better. I want to do that with a lot of things in my life.
You've worked as a nurse, mother, entrepreneur and coach. How did those roles influence your belief system?
In so many ways, because I think a lot of the roles that we take, we also take on the identity of that role. Like, like as a mother, I could see myself as a mother, so I would do the activities and the behaviours that I believed like a mother should do because of my upbringing and my own example of seeing what my mother did and how she behaved with us. And then the same with nursing. That was a role. And so I sort of stepped into that identity as well. Like I was a nurse, rather than, sort of saying I am nursing, I would say I am a nurse. And it's very strongly, it identifies who I am, not what I'm doing. And so I think all of those things, and as an entrepreneur, as a business person, I am a business person rather than trying to grow a business. I think that whenever you label the I am, that really becomes part of your identity. So, I think those things really shaped just how I was seeing things as well, rather than looking at the behaviours. I became the thing.
The book blends your memoir with practical strategies. How did you decide on that structure, or when did you decide on it?
Yeah, I think as I was writing it, it did feel a little bit like me telling my story, but also I wanted people to be able to use my story as an example of what they could do or see in their own life. And so some of those kind of reflective questions were more an idea to sort of prompt, how can you bring this into your life in practical ways? Like, it's all well and good to sort of say things and have more information and education and knowledge, but how do we apply that practically to our lives? And so I think that it kind of made sense to me to have a bit of a seamless transition from one to the other, that this is the thinking, and then what about the doing? And the practical kind of side of that was to bring some of the thinking into the doing part of it.
Awesome. I can't wait for the readers to give us feedback on all of this as well when they read your book. You write about overthinking and learning to listen within. What practices help you quieten your mind? Now, I'm very interested on this, because for me to try and quieten my mind,
it's super hard. I think most people would resonate with this. We are very in our heads a lot, always thinking, well, especially for me, it depends if you're a left or right brainer too, but I'm always thinking about things. I'm a problem solver. I get a problem and I'll think it out. Like, I want to think it out. But I think that was kind of part of the problem a little bit, because I was too much in my head, and I knew I needed, for things to change, I had to come out of my head and drop down into my body and start feeling things more, rather than thinking through things, because we don't always have the answer in our head, but we can feel it in our body. Like, we know what feels truthful or authentic for us because it makes us feel good. And so I sort of just thought, I've got to start coming out of my head and thinking so much, and just drop into my body and just listen more to my body. And so part of the listening, like when we're talking to people, you've got to be quiet to hear things. So that's kind of my daily practice, to just be quiet in the morning. Like, I'll just take 5 minutes in the morning to just sit quietly and try to drop it into my body and not let the stories run through my head, and just go, all right, how am I actually feeling, like physically feeling? And I'll just sort of work from head to toe and just somatically go through, how am I feeling in my body? And I might notice, my knee's a little bit sore, or I'm feeling a little bit tight in my neck, or, maybe there's a bit of stomach, so I can sort of go, all right, what's bothering me today? Because your body knows, and it will tell you truthfully, whereas my mind, will make up a reason or a story or an excuse. Like, I can just say, oh, that's because whatever. But your body doesn't actually lie because it doesn't know how to. It's just in your body. Yeah.
I know. I'm having a bad day today, and I've done too much. Way done too much. And my mind's like, now, come on, you can do more. You can do more. And my body's like, no, girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's it. You need to listen to what your body is saying.
Totally. Yeah. And it's just a story we're running. Like, we think we should be doing more because, it's just a story. Like, we feel that we're not good enough, or someone's going to get ahead if we don't keep going. Like, if we stop, we get behind. That's just a story we've been told by society. And if it doesn't feel good in your body, it's not truth to us. So I just sort of try to let that go and just go, look, that's not actually feeling good in my body. So therefore it's a sign that it's not part of my truth or part of my authenticity. Yes, I'm going to still strive and do things, but in this moment I can just take a breath, or I can just, go have a nice bath, or put on some beautiful oils, aromatherapy, or have a herbal tea and just stop and really smell the tea because it can just take 5 minutes, sometimes even less, to reset and just come back to, again, the truth of who you are. Just be still and be present. and it's really about being something rather than doing all the time. And that was the biggest shift for me, because I'm such a doer. It was really hard to just stop and just be. Yeah.
Oh, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Okay, so spirituality and science, like the epigenetics that you spoke about, are woven throughout the book. How do you balance both in your own life?
I've had a religious background as an upbringing that was always like, it was always going to be part of my life, but it's a bit of a shift. Like, I don't really, religion and spirituality, I think, are two different things, really. Mm-hmm. But I can see that my life is quite spiritual, and I've interwoven it just by making every breath basically a spiritual practice. Like, just what I do is a spiritual practice. And the more I can drop into my body and out of my head, I realize that that's really, really important, because, and it depends on your perspective, but I have come to believe over the last few years that I'm a spirit in this human body having a human experience, but we're ultimately spiritual, and not everyone's going to resonate with that, because you have to be more like you've got to tick all the physical stuff off before you might start thinking about spiritual stuff. So I get that might be sort of challenging for some people, but for me, I just find I'm really trying to integrate it now as part of who I am and how I just spend my day. It's a spiritual practice of the fact that I'm alive here, having all the interactions with people that I meet, all of the things.
We talk about generational beliefs and parenting in the book. What beliefs have you intentionally passed on or broken for your own children?
I was really fortunate to have a very good parent role model. But, life does change and generations change. So there were certainly things that I have changed with my own parenting role. But many things did come across, like mostly values, like things that were very strong in values like compassion, love and understanding, respect, kindness. All of these things were so important, and I really valued those, that I wanted to also pass those on to my children. But I also recognize that in order for me to do that the best way, kids when they're so little and they're learning so much, they're not really listening to the words. Like, they don't really understand the words, but they understand the actions so much more. Yeah. So if I'm acting in a way that displays respect and love, they're going to get a sense of that. As they get older, I'm talking more about it. But when they're really little, I have to really display that behavior. So I think in order to come from a place of understanding and respect, I've got to have that for myself and for my husband, so that I can model that with like that, I guess, emotional regulation and the emotional intelligence of how you might impart that information without using words for kids, because, what does a baby understand, But they understand the cuddle, the touch, the
vibration that you're giving off.
Yeah, totally, 100%. And I talk about that in the book, how everything's energy, so it's really about that, like getting that right energy across, so that they feel these things that I'm trying to teach them.
Yeah. Movement as medicine. It's a powerful concept that you share. Can you explain how it became a healing tool for you?
Fortunately for me, my biology is very based in movement. Like if we look at biology, and again, sort of talking about genetics in the book, I'm a mesomorph. So my dominant hormone is adrenaline, and adrenaline really fires movement. And so I can use it as a strength. And because I know that, I can use it when I'm feeling like I need healing, because the healing, like the thing that brings you down, like where you need healing, is it just brings you down really low in your vibration and in your energy. But I know for me, movement brings my energy back up and gets me feeling good. It also is very helpful for me to come out of my brain and back into my body, because when I'm exercising, I can feel my lungs, dying, or my heart rate racing, or the sweat building. Like, I'm very in my body when I'm exercising. So I find that that's very healing for me to come out of my head. And
what's your favourite exercise to do?
I think probably cycling.
Oh, God.
I might just be a cyclist, yeah.
We're chalk and cheese. Mine's weightlifting.
Oh, yeah, I know. I mean, I'm getting more into the weights now that I'm older. I still do cycle a lot, but it is funny. Like, over the years, I've always been sort of more that high adrenaline kind of junkie, chase the higher intensity stuff.
Right.
But as I've gotten older, I find that I really need the yoga, and I really need.
You would be a thoroughbred. I was a Clydesdale.
Oh, okay.
Like, you're full on. I'm like plodding along.
yeah, you're more the endurance, strong, sturdy.
Yeah.
I'm straight out of the gates, not even,
But it doesn't matter what you are, as long as you're up moving.
Yes, totally. And, everyone needs movement for sure, but there is different types of movement that suit different people in different ways.
That's right.
Understanding that is very helpful as well, because you don't want to put yourself in more stress if you're doing something that's stressful for your body, when you can pick another exercise that's actually going to serve you better.
And when you like doing that exercise, then you'll go and do it. If you hate doing it, you'll make every excuse under the sun not to do it, so there's no benefit long term.
Yes.
In that, because you're not being consistent with it. I've been lifting weights since 2001, before it was fashionable for women to be in powerlifting gyms. Okay, moving on. You've got one chapter is called The Healing Begins. What did healing look like for you beyond the physical?
Forgiveness and acceptance.
Yeah.
Like, I think just understanding that, like I sort of said before, we can't change a lot of things. We can't change. So it's just better to accept that that's how the situation is. Yep. And find the best way that you can manage it. Like, how are you going to respond to it instead of react to it? And because of the adrenaline too, like, my default is kind of fight and be defensive more so. Again, just for my own safety. Like, it felt, if I didn't feel safe, it would be a defensive kind of attack. But through recognizing that, a lot of healing came from that too, because when I was triggered or get triggered, like, I'm still not perfect, I can recognize that I'm going into a bit of an adrenaline attack, and just give myself a little bit of compassion and just say, actually, I don't need to be defensive here, and kind of forgive myself a little bit, because that's a natural response for my biology to want to do that.
Yep.
And then just go, oh, it's actually fine, and then accept that this is the situation and I can choose to respond differently. Yeah. I've done that a lot more with the healing, rather than just fly into something straight off.
That's great. What role has resilience played in your personal transformation?
I like to sort of think of the analogy of exercise here too. Like, when you're going really hard, like when we do high intensity stuff where we're working at maximum, we know it's really uncomfortable and hard, and a lot of us don't really like doing it. But once it's finished, we've survived, like, we didn't die, it builds resilience. Like, you need to have a little bit of that, discomfort to rise above it and to get stronger. And myself, having the challenges and just going, all right, I'm just going to see this like exercise. This is a little bit hard right now. It's not going to last forever. And when I get through it, I'm going to be stronger for it on the other side. And I was able to use that kind of example in my own life to help my kids when they have challenges, that it's uncomfortable for them right now. They don't like it, but they do get stronger for it when they get through it. And they've told me that, like, I didn't really like that experience, but I'm so glad that it happened because I'm so much stronger now because of it. So I think just always showing them and myself, where has it been a problem or a challenge before, and I got through it and I'm stronger for it, that's going to be the same for this challenge that I've got or the next one that I have.
Resilience for me is always about bouncing forward. It's not about bouncing back. So you're a different person when you've come through that challenge, and often for the better, even though you don't realise it at the time.
Are you loving the podcast so far? Imagine the possibilities if you had Justine Martin guiding you through your writing journey. Whether you're crafting your next big book or perfecting a personal project, Justine's expertise can elevate your work. Don't miss out on the chance to work with a seasoned pro, ready to take your writing to the next level. Message us today and let's make your writing dreams come true.
What was the most challenging part of writing The Belief Shift?
I was talking
either.
Oh no, like it was a little bit hard. I think I wasn't too worried about the length of time that it was taking or the process. Like I had good mentors to keep me on track for that. But probably the identity, when I was doing that chapter, I really struggled with that chapter for ages because it was just it's a really complex concept. And there's lots of books about identity, who am I and whatever, but writing who am I, like that just took so long because I wanted to keep it as simple as possible, but not lose the power of it as well. And I think that was probably the hardest bit to write because I'm not a psychologist, but I love psychology. So it really made me think, who actually am I? And then all of the spiritual side of that and, all the roles, who am I, like as an identity. It was a challenging chapter to write because of the complexity, I think.
You just took away my next question. So moving right along. That's all right.
Sorry, I don't know what the questions are.
Oh, no, you don't. How did the process of working with Morpheus Publishing support and shape your journey as an author?
Oh, wow. It has felt really easy. I don't know if I should say easy, but
well, we try and make it as easy a process as we possibly
really was.
can.
Like I just think I was expecting it to be so much more challenging, but it was really seamless. Like it seemed very easy. Like we obviously had our meetings and you'd say like this, I need this, and then here's that, and this is coming from the editor and whatever. But I just trusted you. Like I don't know, I knew you knew what you were doing. So I just said, tell me what's next. Tell me what you need. And yeah, I think you just guided me along. So I was just like, okay, she needs this edit by Friday. Oh God!
Now crack on the whip there. I need that.
Yeah. But that even actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have like deadlines, that I was going to be super stressed to get deadlines. But you were like, it's no stress. Get this done and do this. And
we like to leave a realistic timeline in getting the books done. That then takes the stress off the author and getting those edits reviewed.
Yes.
And also the stress off me and my team in getting the book actually to print. So we do like to leave a realistic timeline, but also not so long that you're waiting 12 months for a book to be published either. From start to finish, it's definitely under that 6-month mark.
Yeah, for sure.
Sooner. So, but you've been an amazing client to work with as well.
Oh,
so
thanks.
You're welcome. Who do you hope picks up this book and reads it? What do you want them to take away from it, Denise? Who's your avatar?
Yeah, well, I would love any woman, obviously, from sort of 40 to 55 to pick it up, because that's when I think you're thinking about what's going on here. Even earlier, like 35-year-old women, they might not think that they need this book,
but they do. In
yeah,
hindsight,
they do. Like the more informed that you can be, the earlier, the better. Because if I had known some of this stuff before menopause, like during my 30s and early 40s, I just would have looked at things completely differently. Like, thankfully, I have a very loving, supportive family. But I know women who, when I've been talking about this book and about this just in general, they've gone, oh my God, like I reckon I could have saved my marriage if I knew about this before. You know, I didn't realize that that's what I was going through. And if I had have realised, then I reckon I might still be married, you know, and things like that. So if you can save a marriage, or if you can help a woman just feel so much more in control and empowered during sort of this midlife transition, but not only for herself, but to be the role model that she probably dreams that she wants to be for her children. And I mean, they're probably older, you know, if she's picking up a book in her 50s, but it's never too late to reframe stories and just have a narrative that serves you so that you can just show up as your best version of yourself. And then that impacts, like the ripple effect. We know about the ripple effect, how that impacts everyone else around you. And like, that's what I would love. Like, if one person reads it and feels better for it, and it influences how they show up, and that relationship with all their people is better, and then they think about things differently, and that then it's better for all of them. That's what I would love. Just if one person just goes, oh, I didn't realize that I was running my life on that story, on that narrative, and I didn't realize that it was something that I could even change.
Yeah.
You know, because they didn't see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know that you're not alone.
Yes.
Either with it, that what you're experiencing, other women are actually experiencing, but have then changed for the better as well.
Yes.
At the end of each chapter, you include reflective questions. Why was that important to make the book interactive?
Just so that people, so it wasn't a book about me. I'm using me and my examples of things that I've gone through in my life, but I really want the reader to just see some commonality that might resonate with them, and they go, oh, yes, there wasn't a time where that was a little bit similar for me. And so I'm using those reflective questions to help them work through the different chapters and look at where it might be relevant in their life using their own examples. So that it's just not a book about me and my life. I want them to see how it might be relevant to their life. Yeah.
So it's a book that they can't pass on to anyone else. They have to buy 2 copies, one for the best friend and one because they'll have all their answers in the back of the book.
Yeah.
The final chapter is called Not the Final Chapter, but a Living Ending. Yes. What's next for you personally and professionally?
What's next? Oh, wow. Well, I've got a few things in the pipeline. Like, I'd sort of like to go a little bit deeper into the belief shift, just take another perspective of, you know, getting more out of your head into your body a little bit more. And that might be something that we can work on in the future. And, I mean, while that's kind of happening, I've really enjoyed writing the books. So I'd like to do a few more books, I think. And
we have spoken about that, haven't we?
Yeah. And just continue with my feel good longevity and feel good vitality programs that I run for women to just understand who they are, like at a core biological and spiritual, I guess, level, and so that they can see the stories that have been created and the ones that they might be still running on. And if they want to change them, feel empowered to do so.
Awesome. If you could give one piece of advice to listeners standing at their own crossroads when they are standing there going, will I write a book? Will I not write a book? What would it be?
Well, if it's about a book, I'd just say just go for it. Like, even if you don't ever get it published, like I didn't think I would get this published. I just thought I just need to get stuff down. I think writing things down, like I've done both the typing and the writing. Like we went away to Japan for a while and I didn't take a laptop. So I was actually writing the book, and I loved that more. Like that changes your brain differently to typing. But I would say just start there. Like it's almost like journaling, you know, and there's so many benefits to journal. So if someone's at a bit of a crossroad, just start writing your thoughts down and you might actually see the answer on your page by the time you've written it down. Yeah, so
100%.
I'd start there, and then who knows, you might actually have a story and then go see you.
Come see me. Everyone's got a story. Come see me. Or if you haven't got a story, let's turn it into a children's book. So, you know, everyone's got a children's book in them as well. Okay, Denise, where can people contact you if they wanted to work with you?
Yes, my website's probably the easiest. I'm on all the socials though, LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook. Anywhere is pretty easy to find me. It's just really my name. It should come up somewhere.
And what's your website?
It's just my name, denisemackadsi.com.au.
And we'll put all that in the show notes anyway, so people will be able to find you, or they can contact you through Morpheus Publishing as well.
Yes.
So, Denise, thank you for your insight today into the belief shift and your book, and I can't wait to spread it to the bigger, wider world.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And remember, listeners, we've all got that story in us, so start writing and get in touch.
Thank you for tuning in to the Author Spotlight podcast by Morpheus Publishing. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found inspiration for your own writing journey. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to our podcast for more exciting content and author insights. Stay connected with us on social media at Morpheus Publishing and visit our website at www.morpheuspublishing.com.au to discover how we can help you bring your book dreams to life. Remember, don't wait. Take the first step now and turn your dreams into reality. See you next time.